Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to Bharata First. My name is Ayushi Mishra and I'm the show host today. Today, we complete 1 month of our channel, Bharata First. And to mark the first month of Bharata First, we are here to launch the first issue of our newsletter. Thank you for supporting us and thank you for being here. And now I would like to call upon Mr. Rausan Pereira himself and start our show.
Thank you, Ayushi. Thank you so much for introducing me and with that beautiful introduction. I'd like to welcome everyone and thank you all for being here. It's really a big day and I'm really happy that all of us are really here. And what else can I ask for? It's such a big day. It's such a big moment for all of us. And, it's such an auspicious occasion as well for us today. So on this auspicious occasion, I would like to be launching our Bharata First newsletter as well, because it is such a big day and I wouldn't want to ask for anything more than have Sai Deepak in just a short while from now to inaugurate our newsletter as well, because to mark the occasion of 1 month of completion of Bharata First, we decided to come out with the newsletter. And, the theme for this time around is vision for a new Bharata, because Bharata First is all about the youth. It is for the youth. It is to inform, educate, and empower the youth of this country. And that's what we are moving towards. And that's what we want to eventually, go forward with. And before I start this particular session with the lighting of the lamp, I'd like to introduce my team to all of you as well, without whom this wouldn't have been possible. It is because of them and it is thanks to them that we have managed to get to where we are today and what we've been able to achieve. Ayushi, of course, is someone that you've all met. Ayushi is in front of us right now. Ayushi is a bright young girl who's put in a lot of effort, and I call her my Sheru because that's what she is. She is a lioness. She leads from the front. And a little bit of a anecdote and a story about Ayushi. She's currently battling COVID. She's going through a tough time, yet she hasn't taken a day off. She's been working day in and day out because she wants to work for Bharata, and through Bharata First, she is doing Bharata's calling. And I'm really amazed with what she has done, of course, for the last 2 weeks. Yeah, April 1st is when I took this team on board, and they have taken Bharata First from strength to strength. I'd like to ask some of the other team members to come online as well, so that we can see their faces and we can see who they really are, and so that I can showcase them as well to the world and to Bharata, all the faces who have been doing extremely well over the last few weeks. That is Chidanand there. Chidanand, put up your hand. Let us see your face. Let me introduce you to everyone. Put up your hand, Chidanand. Smile. Yeah, there you go. That's Chidanand. Chidanand is from North Karnataka, and he is studying right now at the moment. He aspires to be a bureaucrat in the years to come, and he is hoping to do well on that front. Mani is the girl with the headset. She is also another Sheru. She is the one who does the quiz. All of you have been congratulating the Bharata First team for carrying out some great quizzes all through the week. Of course, big picture quiz is what she handles, and she has done a fabulous job thus far. I've not had to go back to her for anything. Everything is completely handled by her, and all the workload has been taken off my back. There's Manish as well. Manish, put up your hand. Let us look at Manish too. Yeah, that's Manish. Few of them are, of course, not on video right now. Or no, I can't see them. Maybe they are. Let me just finish off this set first. That's Manish. Let me tell you a little bit about Manish. Manish and Ayushi are both CDSC aspirants, and they want to get into the armed forces at some point in time. They want to crack the exam and serve the nation, by protecting our borders and keeping us safe. In the meantime, of course, they're trying to get as much as they can soak in from Bharata First. Manish is still studying. He was in fact placed. He got a campus placement, 2 campus placements, and well-paying jobs. But he called me one day frantically and said, "Sir, I don't want to get placed. He said, I want to work with Bharata First, and I want to continue being with Bharata First, and I want to continue on this journey till I actually get into the armed forces. And I tried convincing him to go ahead and take that job, because unemployment is a big problem these days. We are suffering, and unemployment is at an all-time high. So I told him, what, it's going to get difficult. There are so many people who are just demanding and want jobs, but he said, no, nothing doing. I want to be with Bharata First. And I don't know, I just couldn't convince him. I still tell my team that if any one of you can convince him to take up one of those jobs that he got, then please do. But he's still here, and he is with me, and he has said that he's going to continue being on this journey. There's Bhavna as well. Bhavna's is also an incredible story. In fact, I never thought that Bhavna would last this long. First impressions were where that she's here to have some fun, because she comes from a well-off background, and someone who you'd possibly think who wouldn't want to be doing something like this. But nonetheless, she's my punching bag. She's the one whom I whom I yell at the most. She's the one whom I shout at the most. But yet she's the one that I trust the most as well, and she hasn't let me down as yet, at least. So Bhavna has done a fantastic job, and I call her my general to carry out my orders, because whenever I'm busy, she's the one who ensures that everything is on track, and I really, really appreciate everything that she's done. There's Shriya as well in yellow. Shriya's story is also an incredible one, because all the others are bound or glued together for their love for the UPSC. Shriya is one who's a misfit of sorts, if I can call it that, but yet she gels so well with the team, and she's just gotten along all throughout. She is extremely talented. She's been granted some massive fellowships and scholarships to do some great work, but yet with a lot of grants as well, but yet she's here with Bharata First, and she continues to strive to just keep bettering what we do here. And day in and day out, she works on, she's taken it as a challenge. There have been several comments from many of the viewers who have been watching Bharata First that we don't get enough female participation on Bharata First. I take responsibility for that. Over the years, unfortunately, I have not built the kind of female friends that I need to have. But Shriya has taken it upon herself that she's going to ensure that we are going to see more women power on Bharata First. And I really appreciate her for that, and appreciate everything else that she's done. So that's Shriya for you. Let me look at who else is there. There's Anand. Anand is law. He's studying law. He's doing his post-graduation in law. And his too is crazy. I mean, the kind of support that I've received from each and every one of them. Anand has come forward and said that he pledges his life to me, and he wants to be with Bharata First for the rest of his life. I mean, who makes such a kind of a commitment? It's incredible. I really don't know what to say. So that is Anand for you. He's just amazing. And my other champion, of course, is Romit. Romit is from Gujarat. He has his typical Gujarati traits, but he's working day in and day out. He's always on the ball, always on the money, ensuring that all our technical aspects, the quizzes that go out, the entire back-end technical work is done by Romit. Romit, put up your hand. Let us see who you are. There you go. That's Romit for you. And that's Asta. Asta, raise your hand, please, so that we know we can see you. Yeah, that's Asta. Asta also, I mean, incredible what she's been able to do. Asta has no technical background. She too wants to be in the Indian bureaucracy at some point in time. But we needed someone to take care of our text designing. And without having any kind of a background in text designing, she came forward and she put up her hand and she said, sir, I'm going to do it. And all the thumbnails, all the posters, the banners that you see, it's all Asta's work. The newsletter that we're going to launch in just a short while from now is what Asta has completely designed. So that's what she's been doing. I don't see Akshita here for some reason. I don't know where she is. Akshita is one more of my little champions who's taken up the entire responsibility of video editing. Video editing is a very, very technical job, and we find it difficult to edit most of our videos here or just put them together in a presentable manner. But Manish and Akshita have both taken up the responsibility that they will work and they will ensure that they get that done. I told them that we should probably hire a professional to get our videos edited. They said, no, sir, nothing doing. We have taken up the responsibility. We want to learn, and we will learn, and we will do it. So this is Team Bharata First. And thank you all for showing support. Thank you all, team, for pushing me, for bringing out the best in me. Without you, this would just not possible. And you have made all of this possible. A big thank you to all of you. I've never said it openly, but today, in front of everyone that's watching, from the bottom of my heart, I really want to thank you for putting out and for giving so much to Bharata First, and in return to Bharata as well. And I'm sure Bharatma is proud of each and every one of you. This is the young Bharata that we have today, a fearless Bharata, a Bharata that Bharatiyas, a young Bharata that really truly wants to make Bharata great again. And each one of them has made such big sacrifices in their lives to be here, and the only calling is Bharata First and nothing else. They just want to put Bharata first, and that's why they are here. And that's why we're putting out such an incredible end product as well. It's all thanks to them. And really, India is proud. I am definitely proud of this lovely young bunch of people who are here, whom I just introduced. I really don't have words to express how grateful I am for everything that they do day in and day out. Talking about grateful and talking about, how grateful I am for others as well. The guests, each one of them experts, each one of them luminaries in their own fields, each one of them carrying over 30 to 40 years of experience. I just heard some of the messages that they sent. Unfortunately, I did not have the time earlier to look at the messages. I had tears in my eyes. I was literally crying, and it's been a while since that has happened to me. The kind of praise that they have heaped, the kind of wishes that they have sent, and the superlative praise, I've never witnessed it. Of course, I didn't know that they thought so highly of me. I was literally in tears, and that's something that has not happened to me in a while. Thinking back now, and when I think about some of those messages, it still, touches me deep down here in my heart. And also, before I introduce our chief guest, a man whom I see as brilliant, I don't have any other words to describe him. A man with a golden heart, a man who's brilliant, and I believe will be the greatest legal luminary that this country ever sees, and probably the world sees as well, because that's what his potential is, and that's what he can really do. I'll just introduce him in just a bit. Before that, I'd like to start by lighting, the lamp at this auspicious occasion. Should be started on that way. Let us start with divine blessings, and take Bharata First forward in that way. So let me just go ahead and do the lighting of the lamp right now, and start with that. So 30 seconds of silence till we finish lighting the lamp, and then we will proceed. On behalf of the team and Bharata, viewers, subscribers, everyone else, I'm going to be lighting the lamp. Also, let me take the name and blessings of Devima and all my well-wishers. My beautiful family, my wife, without whom all this wouldn't have been possible as well. Really, from the bottom of my heart, I'm grateful, I'm thankful, and I'm really happy that this is happening, and happy with the progress that we've seen. So that is it. So 1 month of Bharata First. We'll start with the newsletter as well. Before we launch the newsletter, I'd like to call upon the chief guest of the occasion today, a man, like I've already said, needs no introduction, a man whom I believe is one of the greatest legal minds at present, still young, but so maybe not getting his due credit as of now, but in days to come and in the years to come will possibly the greatest legal minds in the country, and will get his due recognition as well in the times to come. I'd like to call upon Sai Deepak to come and say a few words right now. Sai. Sai, if you can hear me. No? Okay. He's calling me. Let me just. Ah, there he is.
Thank you, Frank, for the warm introduction and the generous praise that you've heaped on me. I really don't know how to react to it. I should first of all congratulate Frank on his wonderful initiative, Bharata First, because very few people have the guts to give up the comfort of their jobs and take the plunge necessary to pursue their passions. And Frank, as a family man, has taken the plunge. And according to me, that takes a lot of guts. And it goes without saying that this wouldn't have been possible without the support of his family. And I'm fortunate to know them as friends. And I congratulate the entire team of Bharata First for having seen the first month through. I'm sure there would have been a lot of teething troubles, but according to me, this is just the beginning, and you're going to go places, because I think the idea of Bharat, I won't use the word India, the idea of Bharat has finally arrived. And hopefully in the times to come, we will see more such initiatives. And I see Bharata First as actually trailing the blaze here and treading the untread path. And given that the digital medium is the medium of the future, not just the present, I think a fantastic, let's say, chart is being busted here for all practical purposes. Two, I went through the newsletter, and it warms my heart to actually read some of the pieces written in the newsletter, because there used to be a time when, as a school-going student, I was used to seeing such pieces in the Hindu's Saturday edition called The Young World, I think. That was the name. And with the years, I think the tone and tenor of even The Young World has changed. And I'm no more a fan as I used to be then. And hopefully, Bharata First will at least rekindle those nostalgic memories. And I will get to read, let's say, views which resonate with the beating pulse of this land and this civilization. So, my congratulations to Frank and his entire team for having seen through this first month. And I'm absolutely sure that in the coming days and years, we will see a lot more traction for the kind of work that they do. And I always believe that any kind of initiative requires an investment in the future, and that would mean in the young generation, because the present is on its way out, the past is over. So anybody who's interested really in making a change in any direction, in any realm, on any front, must necessarily invest in the next generation. And Bharata First, according to me, is fantastically positioned to capture that particular audience. I will do whatever I can to support this particular initiative through the limited presence that I have on social media and other places. And I will make sure that the people, at least in my circles, read and consume the content that is put out by Bharata First. May I have a few more minutes, Frank? Can I just take 2 minutes?
The floor is yours, Sai. We don't have any time limitations. We don't. The entire country is waiting to listen to you. There are over 200 people watching us live right now, just waiting to see what we have to say and what you have to say. So please, the floor is yours. You can take as much time as you want.
So I'll bust a few myths, because after Bharata First was set up, Frank has called me on more than one occasion to participate in a couple of debates. And my unavailability has given rise to certain rumors that perhaps there is some kind of a friction going on between Frank and me. The fact is that apart from my practice-related commitments, I'm just in the course of finishing my book. And by the end of this week, it should be done.
Since we are here, Sai, why don't you say something about your book as well? I mean, I'm sure many people will want to know about it. I know you've spoken to very few about it. I'm one of those. So why since you're almost done with it, why don't you just give us a little bit of a trailer?
So it is more or less the sum and substance of everything that I've spoken about and written about since 2016. And that particular year is significant, since that's the year I went independent to set up practice as an arguing counsel, which gave me more freedom to express my views on issues of national importance. And not that it makes any difference to the country or anybody else, because I don't wish to overestimate what I'm capable of doing. I just know for a fact that I had certain views which I wanted to share with the society at large. And over the last 4.5 to 5 years, I've had the opportunity to meet brilliant people, including Frank, people who are better informed than me in subjects such as civilization and constitution and whatnot. And I wanted to make sense of this book through a different prism altogether, this document called the Constitution through a different prism altogether. Therefore, the idea was to try and understand the Constitution from the perspective of someone who's interested in protecting Indic civilizational values. If I subscribe to a worldview and I believe that Bharata is not just a geography, but it is also an idea, then what is the respect that that particular idea is accorded to the Constitution? And what is the place that this idea gives to the Constitution? In the sense, what is the relationship between Bharata and the Samvidhan, so to speak? And therefore, I started speaking about it, I started writing about it. I was pushed in a certain direction by two brilliant scholars, Dr. Indu Vishwanathan, who is a scholar from the United States, who writes extensively on teaching and pedagogy, so on and so forth, and is someone who I believe is an emerging voice, or perhaps is already an established voice in the realm of understanding coloniality, which is to say, countries after they have become independent post decolonization, what is it that they must do to regain their identity and to regain their control over their own identity, which is to say, who are we, where do we come from? Is it something that we should write about ourselves, or should we let an outsider write about us? These are certain questions. And when I started reading that particular literature, which she was kind enough to share with me with specific inputs, and another scholar, Ms. Sumita Ambasta, who's based out of Singapore, but who's worked extensively in the field of education in Bharat, she asked me to start reading up on the language policy and so on and so forth, saying, why is it that India's constitution is not interpreted in an Indian language? Why is it that it's not understood in an Indian language? These are issues that she pushed me into asking. And gradually, as I started reading up and writing on these subjects, I think around September last year, I finally mustered the guts to start writing a book, because more than anything else, it requires a certain degree of mental stamina and patience and perseverance to see it through. Because I don't think the beginning counts for too much unless and until you're able to see through a certain initiative. That is the most important thing, to be able to see it through and to last till the entire project is over. And touched wood, by God's grace, I can confidently say that these 6 months have been perhaps the most trying 6 months of my life, with a lot of, let's say, upheavals on the personal front because of my parents' health and all that, and practice and everything else. But with the grace of the gods, and gods being in plural, I've been able to see this through. I think it runs into about 140,000 words, and that would effectively translate to about 500 to 520 pages. And I had the support of my research team from Indic Collective, specifically Ms. Shaktiki Sharma, who was instrumental in giving me some of the best literature that I couldn't have laid my hands on independently. And that gave me a whole new perspective. The idea that I am trying to present through the book is very, very simple, and perhaps it resonates with the motto or vision of Bharata First, which is that there is no point in Bharata wanting to be a Vishwaguru if it is not a guru to itself, and which means it must first learn from its own past and must draw from its own history the principles and the values that it wishes to live by. There is no point in spouting gyan to the rest of the world on what is the way forward for the mukti or the liberation of the world, unless and until you know the way of your own liberation, so to speak. Okay, so the idea is to try and let's say give this particular generation sufficient reasons to be proud of this land and see the land for what it is, what's and all, without necessarily glorifying every aspect. To understand that this land is less about, pardon me for being politically incorrect, but that's my nature. This land is less about equality. This land is less about peace. And these are things that we keep saying about this land. This land is about truth and knowledge, whatever the consequence. So the idea is to be able to speak the truth and to pursue knowledge. And therefore, if you have to embrace certain uncomfortable aspects, but if those uncomfortable aspects are rooted in truth and knowledge, then anyone who is a descendant of the civilization and sees himself as a descendant of the civilization in letter and spirit must necessarily embrace the truth, regardless of how bitter it may be and regardless of how uncomfortable it may make you. So the ability to break preconceived notions which may be in your head and to look at things for what they are is the attempt that this book makes. And hopefully, those people whose hearts beat for Bharata, regardless of where they come from, regardless of what their affiliations may be, should be able to understand this particular position independent of any preconceived notions. So I have tried to refer to some international literature, then I've tried to refer to national literature, and I've tried to explain how both of them meet, what is the kind of handshake that we see. Although as a lawyer, sometimes your writing style becomes extremely rigid and you use drafting more than writing, there being a huge difference between the two. I've tried to keep the language as simple as possible so that the target audience between the age groups of 18 to 30 are able to relate to this particular book. And as opposed to peppering this book with my opinions, I've tried to present first-hand literature so that they can read for themselves if I am interpreting something based on my preconceived notions and biases, or is the literature supporting what I already believe. So I've tried to give them as much content as possible. And what started off as one book has now been broken up into a trilogy of sorts. The first book effectively covers the period, broadly speaking, from the 7th century until 1919. The second book covers the period from 1919 to 1952, which I will start writing 2 or 3 months later because I need a break after this book is out. And the third book will tentatively cover the period between 1952 and 1977. The idea is to show how the first 30 years of the independent Republic of India are so monumental and are so important in understanding the journey of this document that we call the Constitution and its relationship with civilization, with Bharatiya civilization or the Indic civilization, so to speak. And therefore, I hope that this book, whether it ultimately gives people certain conclusions or not, it at least gives them enough material to start asking the right questions. My belief is that even if you don't arrive at the right answer, if one generation starts asking the right question, some generation will at least arrive at the right answer. Okay. So the direction that you take and the intention with which you start a certain project, according to me, make the entire difference. That's the world of difference. What resources are at your disposal and what kind of opulence you're blessed with, these are not in your hands. These are ultimately matters of fate, luck, and destiny. So the simple analogy is that in a game of cards, let's assume for a moment that you're one of the players. What kind of cards are dealt to you are never in your hands. It's never in your hands. But what you do with those cards and how best you're able to use the circumstances to your advantage is effectively what decides your innate worth. So the cards that land on your table perhaps are, let's say, a reflection of destiny, so to speak. But what you do with those cards is effectively the consequence of your karma and your own viveka, which is wisdom. So that is basically how we function, and that's how we believe is the relationship between destiny and free will of an individual. The idea is through this book, people will have more confidence in their identity as Bharatiyas. And when they decide to hold their own before an international audience, they will have all the ammunition that they need to defend this land without any degree of defensiveness and without any degree of self-doubt or self-loathing. That is more or less what I've tried to do through this book. And I believe that it is in sync with the entire purpose of the setting up of Bharata First. And once the book is out, I hope to have an opportunity to discuss this book at length and perhaps certain critical portions at length so that I'm able to explain its practical consequences in our day-to-day conversations about the Constitution, about politics, about identity politics, about caste politics and whatnot. So I've touched upon all these aspects.
All issues that we've discussed in the past as well, and that I would be glad to take up with you at another time after reading the book to try and pinpoint and try and see and find some loopholes, like we always do in our discussions. I'm sure the book will be a super hit, Sai, because, there have been several chat messages that have come through as we were speaking on YouTube Live as well, who have been saying that, they're going to go out and buy the book on the first day itself, and they're going to line up at bookstores and buy the book. So I'm sure it's going to be a great hit. And, the idea of the book is a fantastic idea. That's something, there's so much of commonality, like you spoke about as well with Bharata First, because that's something that I've been propagating, something that I've been talking about from day one. We are descendants of great kings, of great wise men, of rishis, of knowledge that we've seen thousands of years ago that the world has never seen today. That is the kind of lineage that we have. Those are our ancestors. Imagine if we can mix that with modern knowledge and
Right.
modern sciences,
Right.
what we can achieve. We will truly be unbeatable. And this is what the world is worried about and scared about. And that's why trying to put India behind. The Britishers and the Mughals realized that when they came to India, and that's why they decided to destroy our universities and our scriptures and our texts first. And we are still bearing the brunt of it. But one day, I'm sure we'll rise like the phoenix. And that's why I say we will make Bharata great again. And that is the motto of Bharata First as well. So wishing you the very best as far as your book is concerned, Sai, and I'm sure that it will be a super duper hit. Sorry, I cut you short while you were talking about why you have not been appearing on Bharata First after that one time. Please go ahead.
So I hope that in the future, as and when, in fact, after the 24th of April, I expect to be free. I hope to join a lot many more discussions. And Frank knows this, and I say this as a public confession, that I don't enjoy going to high-powered conferences or speaking circuits because I practically don't see the utility behind it. Whenever I get an opportunity to interact with a young audience, nothing stimulates me more than that. And I believe that this particular medium will give me an opportunity to tap into that particular audience as much as possible. And hopefully we are able to touch upon sensitive discussions which typically make us squirm in our seats because of the language that is employed or the nature of the discussions or the nature of identities that are involved. Is it possible for us to have sane civil discussions and calm discussions on the very same issues based on facts as opposed to throwing rhetoric around, so that we are able to understand and appreciate things more from the standpoint of, let's say, logic and reason, as opposed to, let's say, rhetoric or some kind of identity based complexes being inserted into the discussion. Okay, so that's one thing. And three, I believe that quite a few law students are involved in Bharata First's initiative. I was contacted by one particular person from, I think, HNLU, I think Raipur.
Correct.
And
yes.
I think
and he is one of the youngest members of the team as well.
Fantastic. And
I don't know how much of it you heard because you got disconnected in between, Sai. He called me day before yesterday and he said, "Sir, Bharata First ke saath hi kaam karna hai zindagi bhar."
Fantastic.
So that is the kind of commitment, and this is not something that I forced down them or forced down their throat or anything like that. That is the kind of commitment they have for Bharata. And that's what I thought I'll convey to you and to everyone else as well. So that is what his name is Anand.
Oh, so he called me, and I should commend him for the patience with which he constantly reached out to me, because I wasn't able to respond to his calls before because of the busy schedule of the last 3 or 4 days. And his enthusiasm in being a part of this particular initiative spoke volumes of two things. One, that he clearly believes in the vision of Bharata First, and two, he obviously has a lot of respect for you, Frank. So I think it bodes well, and I think these kids have managed to find the right person to be associated with and the right initiative to be associated with. And with time, I hope that this particular initiative also manages to reach institutions such as JNU and TISS Mumbai. And I hope that those institutions, which are now seen as being outside the Indic worldview or the civilization worldview, ultimately convince themselves that this is the right way to be and this is the way of the future. And and I hope they find both an incentive as well as an inspiration in being part of this initiative in the future. And the day you have, let's say, followers from both these campuses, I will make sure that there is a special event of sorts where we celebrate this because according to me, these institutions, for all practical purposes, are the litmus test for a very different reason. Kudos to your team. Kudos to everyone who's part of this. I'm not sure if I can take questions at this point, but I can guarantee you that this is not the end. This is the beginning of my association with Bharata First, and I'll be there in many future discussions.
I have a couple of questions for you. We are not going to open this up for questions, of course, because then we'll have to sit here for the whole night, and that's something that I don't want to do. We'll keep that for another day because you two are busy at the moment. So, a lot of people have also commented and said how the both of us are seen only on serious platforms and we only talk seriously. Let's try and address that as well, and let's try and address another myth and try and bust another myth. लोग बोलते हैं कि हम लोगों को हिंदी पता नहीं है, चलिए हिंदी में बात करते हैं साई, है ना? हिंदी में बात करते हैं क्योंकि हम तो हिंदी जानते हैं, हम हिंदी पढ़ते हैं, हिंदी में शोज भी किए हैं हम दोनों ने।
बिल्कुल
तो चलिए बात करते हैं इंडिया के विजन के बारे में, भारत की दृष्टि के बारे में। आपका क्या सोच है भारत के बारे में और भारत की युवा के बारे में, और किस तरीके से आगे ले जाना है?
तो सबसे पहली बात ये है कि मैं हैदराबाद से हूं, तो मेरी हिंदी और उर्दू दोनों ही दुरुस्त हैं। दूसरा, मैं दिल्ली में 12 साल रह चुका हूं, और कहते हैं कि अगर आप किसी देश में या किसी नगर में 7 साल के लिए रहते हैं तो आप उसी नगर के बन जाते हैं। सो इफ somebody were to ask me my identity, I would say I'm a Hyderabadi Tamilian who has become, for all practical purposes, a Noida Vasi. So I'm an Uttar Pradeshi in that sense. So my Hindi is fairly good. The only thing is, जितने भी लोग दिल्ली में बात करते हैं उनकी हिंदी हिंदी नहीं है, वो छिंदी होती है, बिकॉज ये हिंदुस्तानी होती है, बिकॉज देर आर नो वर्ड्स लाइक करा एंड करी इन हिंदी. किया एंड किया नहीं, these are the words, but unfortunately they speak this language, whereas my Hindi is relatively more chaste and shuddh. For all, I mean it comes from the school, I've learned it and I'm very very comfortable with the language. Most people don't know that मुझे हिंदी बहुत ही अच्छी लगती है, एंड मैं हिंदी के जितने भी लिटरेचर होते हैं, साहित्य होते हैं, मैं उसको पढ़ता रहता हूँ, नॉट टू स्ट्रेंथन माय हिंदी, बट भारतीय भाषाओं में से ऐसे एक तो भाषा होनी चाहिए जिसमें आपकी जो प्रोफिशिएंसी है उतनी होनी चाहिए जितनी कि आप इंग्लिश में बोलते हैं, बिकॉज आई थिंक इट्स अ मैटर ऑफ शेम if an Indian is more comfortable in English than in Indian languages, and I am one of those people, unfortunately. I don't take pride in the fact that I speak English better than any other language. In fact, one of the biggest regrets of my life is that I don't even know how to read Tamil. While I know how to read Telugu and I love Telugu as a language, I don't know Tamil. So दिल्ली में आने के बाद मैंने इतना तो डिसाइड कर लिया था that हिंदी लिटरेचर को जितना हो सके मैं उसको पढ़ने की कोशिश करूंगा. And two, most people don't know, जब मैंने अपने करियर की शुरुआत की थी दिल्ली में, तब मैंने डिस्ट्रिक्ट कोर्ट्स में भी आर्ग्यू किया था, और डिस्ट्रिक्ट कोर्ट में ज्यादातर एक मिश्रित भाषा का उपयोग होता है, और अगर आप वहां पे जाके अंग्रेजी झाड़ते हैं तो आपको कोई भाव नहीं देता है. ओके, तो आपको किसी भी हालत में हिंदी सीखने की जरूरत पड़ती है. सो माय हिंदी इज फेयरली गुड. 3, I think the test of how good you are in a language is when you're angry, what is the language you switch to? And whenever I need to get sarcastic or angry, I think Hindi is the first thing that comes to my tongue. So I think if there is any proof of familiarity needed with a certain language, well, there you have it. 3, I've often been told that in most of our shows, whether it's with you or anywhere else, I'm not seen smiling or laughing. It just so happens that how do I put it? I'm perhaps more focused on delivering the message or the content through in the short time that we have. But on the stage, whenever I get on the stage, जब भी मैं लाइव ऑडियंस के सामने बात करता हूँ, तो व्यंग के बाण तो बहुत ही निकल जाते हैं मेरे मुंह से, और टिप्पणी में बहुत अच्छी तरह से कर देता हूँ. And there is always a smile that is waiting to come out, because most people don't know that I was not a studious first bencher. I was a typical last bencher. I'm in the same distinguished company as Steve Jobs. The only thing is he dropped out. I didn't drop out. Fortunately, unfortunately, that's for God to decide later. So, in fact, to bust a myth, a lot of people know that the kind of ribald jokes that are typically associated with Delhi humor, I am the fount of all those jokes when I'm in private. So as far as I am concerned, I don't see myself a serious person. But when the subject demands a bit of seriousness, I end up becoming serious. And Rajya Sabha TV में तो जितने भी discussions Frank उठाते हैं, fortunately we have at least some journalists like Frank who take their profession so seriously and who stick to their professional ethics, and वो बात को बिना मिर्ची मसाला डाल के उसको प्रेजेंट करने की कोशिश करते हैं. So which is why जब Frank कोई सवाल करते हैं, then I do my very best to do justice to that particular thing, because I've been on primetime channels and I've been on Rajya Sabha TV, especially on Big Picture with Frank, and there has not been a single channel or a single experience that comes anywhere close to the freedom that I have to put forth my point of view. And I can say this of any guest, because I don't think Frank is partial to any of his guests. Every guest who comes to his platform feels that he has the freedom to put forth his point of view, whether or not it agrees with Frank's point of view. And I've never seen Frank impose his point of view as a moderator or as a guest or as a host of a certain discussion. So considering all this, maybe once we go regularly on Bharata First, rest assured, I'll show my mischievous side also.
चलिए, अभी के लिए तो दो सावले मद्रासियों ने दिखा दिया भारत को कि हिंदी जानते हैं हम लोग और हिंदी में भी बात कर सकते हैं, और उम्मीद है कि ये भी सुधार आएगा कि सदर्न रीजन में जो कोई भी है मद्रासी नहीं है, ये जानेंगे नॉर्थ वाले भी, है ना? तो चलिए, let's talk about another aspect, Sai, because since we are keeping it light, we'll try and wrap it up in the next 5 minutes. A couple of aspects, we'll talk about what is your favorite food, because strangely we know each other for so long. We know we've had so many meals together, but somehow we have not come down to discussing favorite food.
So I've realized, and based on the limited travels that I've had outside India, that I'm at heart an Indian when it comes to food, and as long as it's vegetarian and it's Indian, I can eat anything under the sun. Okay. And I wish I could say that I have a continental taste or an Italian taste or a Chinese taste. Not at all. My palate is 100% Indian, and the cuisine that I fall for is 100% Indian. I love thalis, whether it's the Rajasthani thali or the Maharashtrian thali or the Gujarati thali. और sometimes ये प्राणी जो है आंध्रा भवन में पाया जा सकता है licking his fingers and smacking his lips, along with the Westerners who sit there without the spoon or the fork. Or you can sometimes find me in Bukhara also, eating away to glory. So Indian food, any kind of, from whichever region it is something I'm a great fan of. I enjoy, let's say, the litti chokha from Bihar as much as I have the paniyaram of the south. And I enjoy the paratha of Punjab as much as I enjoy the Malabar paratha, okay, or what we call brota in Tamil Nadu. So I'm a huge fan of all this. And I think the breakfast of Bangalore is unbeatable with the kesari bhat and whatnot. In fact, when I used to intern in 2008 in John F. Wells Technology Center in Bangalore, I am someone who's almost usually the latecomer. If somebody is behind me, then they are the latest. Okay, nobody can come later than me. And I used to reach this campus early only to have the breakfast during my internships. So I'm a foodie out and out. The lockdown has given me an opportunity to lose my weight, but it's not something that I'm very proud of, because I miss food. So that's where it is.
But since we are here, Sai, you must tell me. So no wonder we've not zeroed in on one single particular dish and one cuisine, because because of this precise reason. Right. You're one of those very few 30-plus-year-olds who I've seen who's eating so much and who's managed to lose weight after 30. Tell me, what is the secret?
No, so for this, the diet, according to me, this keto diet and all that really doesn't work for me.
Does it work really? Keto diet? You're the last person whom I think would do this keto diet.
I can't do that keto diet, and I can't survive on paneer and all that. So what I've tried to do is what I would call, for the lack of a better word, perhaps the Hindu diet, which is Ekadashi is something that I take seriously every month. And that effectively translates to 36 hours of fasting for each Ekadashi. So that's about 3 days a month, hardcore fasting. And of course, I don't do Nirjala fasting, which means I have to keep drinking water. So twice a month, that is the case. And at least once a week, I fast. And once a week, there is, let's say, a fruit-based diet. And I try not to eat post sunset, which has been our rule. In fact, surprisingly, I learned from a Jain friend that even they don't believe in eating post sunset because they're afraid of insect or anything else being consumed as part of their food. So that's why they don't have it as well. Other than that, until 2011-12, I was in peak shape. In fact, between 2013 and 2018 is when I put on massive amounts of weight. I think in January 2019, I was 109 kilos. And in March 2020, when the lockdown began, I was 102 kilos. I came down to about 83.6 in August in a span of about 6 months. And it does not require any kind of magic. It does not require any kind of, let's say, rigorous regimen, so to speak. You just need discipline. And now I hover anywhere between 87 and 88. So I think age is is just a number. As long as you have the discipline and the willpower to say no to food, at least at the wrong time, I think your moral is there. Maintaining your weight is not at all the issue. Weight loss and fitness are two different things. I'm beginning to realize that. So hopefully we are not entering another phase of lockdown. I just hope that's not the case, because it'll affect so many people's livelihoods. But if at all that happens, then I will focus on my weight even more, because now that the book is done, I hope to at least practice to become a marathon runner, so to speak. So let's see what happens.
Absolutely. And before I forget, the reason why we are here, before I, getting carried away with the conversations, I forgot to launch the digital version of the newsletter itself. That is why we are gathered here. Earlier you were talking about contribution and contribute in any way possible. While you were speaking and saying that to Sai, I realized, because we've opened up UPI contributions just generally, because it takes some effort to keep this kind of content alive. You need to pay for the softwares. And, I must be thankful to several of my guests who have appeared on the programs right from day one. They have just come here on goodwill. Not a single one of them has said that they want anything in return. And I'm really touched. World-class guests have appeared on Bharata First, and only because of friendship and only through friendship. And they must really be thanked, you included, for what you've done and how you ensured that this particular platform grows. From the bottom of my heart, I thank them. You'll all have hearts of gold and are worth your weight in gold as well. So when you are speaking about contributions, there are several people who have come forward and actually made these contributions. I've seen one big contribution of 5,000 rupees also coming in through UPI. So it's really, heartwarming to see people even contributing 5 rupees. It's a big deal. I understand that, and it's such a great and such a nice gesture. And this continues to happen, which is really, really great. And I'm really thankful to everyone who's doing their little bit as well. Even those who are not contributing, but watching the ads on YouTube. Even that is something, and people who are making even small contributions or big contributions, really thank you for everything that you've done, or just spreading the word about Bharata First and letting people know that this platform exists, because the idea is good. The the idea that we bring along with it is also to ensure that we empower all Bharatiyas, and that's the spirit that we need to take it forward in. So before I let you go, Sai, let me just quickly share the digital version of the newsletter. Let me just share my screen right now. I don't know if you can see the screen right now. I'm trying to share you can see it?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. So this is the newsletter, and this is volume 1, issue 1, April 15, 2021, the Bharata First newsletter. This is how it looks. Vision for a new Bharata is the theme, and there you can see Sa Vigyaya Vimuktye. That alone is knowledge which liberates, and it's a 20-page newsletter. There are several articles that have been written by contributors. There's something that I've written from the editor's desk. There's a series that I've started called Freedom Series, where I'll be talking about how we can bring forth ancient knowledge into modern day living of ours and be truly empowered. And so Yuva Awaz is contributions that have come in from others as well. You've been through the newsletter, Sai. So this is what I want you to inaugurate. Please go ahead and inaugurate it.
So how does one do it virtually? So let's start by saying that this is fantastic. In fact, who chose this motto, so to speak? Can you please tell me this, and what is the story behind it?
This motto was actually chosen by Shreya, Shreya, whom I said, who has no UPSC background or no background behind this. So she came up with it, and she is actually, has been given a grant by, I think, National Geographic, and a big grant. And, and she's still contributing here, and this is her work, and she continues to do this. So this was, and the editing and the layout and the designing was done by another girl called Asta, who has never done this in her life before.
I see.
So this is how it is. Yeah.
So I liked some of those pieces, especially. I think there was one piece by Ayushi, I think.
Yes, let me just quickly go down to it. It's a longish piece, isn't it? A poem or something that she had written.
Yes.
Yeah, let me just go down to it. This is what it is. Yeah, this one, right?
Correct.
This one, yeah.
I was actually surprised that there was a reference to Eurocentrism and let's say the Treaty of Westphalia, because this forms a significant part of my book. In fact, I will be dealing with what I call not the Western civilization, but the Westphalian civilization. Okay, where we basically discuss how the current structures that we have, be it of the constitution or principles of international diplomacy, so to speak, are all products of the Westphalian Treaty. So I have discussed that in significant detail. And this question that she has asked in between, so where does the Republic of India stand amidst, are we a nation state, according to me, is a brilliant question. This is the essence of Bharat's identity, wherein we try and put it in the basket of nation when in fact we are a civilization. So these are aspects that I've tried to deal with, and it boggles my mind that youngsters have managed to ask such questions, which I've asked only after crossing the age of 34. Therefore, it tells me that the bleak picture that most of us are want to painting about the future is perhaps baseless. And I'm confident that the future of this country is in safer hands, contrary to popular perception. Because if people like Ayushi are capable of saying this at their age and they're able to write about this so clearly, I think it bodes well for the country. So congratulations to the entire team for the launch of the newsletter. I think it's a fantastic initiative. And hopefully I will try to bring a few more contributors on board to your newsletter who can contribute to the themes that you have in mind. And it's heartwarming to see Rajagopalachari's Mahabharata. I remember us discussing this, Frank, before you started this particular initiative, that finally his Mahabharata is getting its due, because it's a fantastic amalgamation of, let's call it, for the lack of a better word, a modern representation of an ancient epic and a timeless epic at that. And it stays true to the original narrative as much as possible without the author's biases creeping into it. I would strongly urge people to read Rajagopalachari's Mahabharata as well as Ramayana.
Or listen to it. You don't even have to put in the effort. You don't even have to put in the effort to read it. You can listen to it Monday to Friday, one chapter a day. There are 25 chapters that have been completed so far. So you can do a little bit of catching up. A binge listening session also can be undertaken, and then you can catch up on one chapter a day. It'll hardly take 10 minutes, not even that much.
Wonderful, wonderful. So what is this Mahabharata analysis? What does it entail?
So we are going to get into Mahabharata analysis a little later on as well. We are going to get in some expert who can, talk about the Mahabharata, what it means, in modern day. How can we take the learnings of the Mahabharata of the past and put it to use in present times? That is something that we are going to look at through the Mahabharata analysis.
Wonderful. Then I would recommend that you try and get in touch with Dr. Vishwa Adluri, who is now perhaps one of the most foremost scholars on Mahabharata. And I'm sure he would love to interact with your audience, and given its demographic, I'll try and introduce you to him through other connections. But it's fantastic that you have a Mahabharata analysis. It's really heartwarming. What our schools must be doing, you're doing.
Thank you, Sai. That means a lot. It really means a lot. And the idea is to take our ancient glory to the modern day youth and try and amalgamate it, and to ensure that we bring out a well-finished product at the end of the day.
Right.
So congratulations. Thank you. So this is the newsletter, and these are some of the shows, and these are some of the things that we are doing. This is the team that I introduced you to a little bit earlier in the program as well. I would like to thank Sai Deepak, a dear friend, first now, a guest first on my show, turned into a friend, and now our families also are really, really close, and we are family friends. And I'm really proud to know a man like Sai Deepak, and to have a friendship that is so strong with this gentleman whom I consider to be one of the greatest minds that we presently have. I know he's modest and he will never accept it. He never has accepted it as well whenever we had this conversation, but I keep reminding him every time we meet, and every time he just keeps dismissing it. Let me also fill you in on a little bit of detail. Sai Deepak, for all the noise, for all the knowledge, for all the volume and the pitch that he speaks with online, is one of the most introverted people that I know. He barely says a word, and he barely speaks above his breath. You really have to poke him, and it's like poking the bear. Then finally, when you agitate him, is when he speaks, or when you engage him in a truly meaningful conversation is when he speaks. Otherwise, he's one of the biggest introverts that I know. Sai, one secret out now for the world.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for taking time off your busy schedule and being here. Really, really appreciate it. Wouldn't have had it any other way. I couldn't have thought of a better person to do this for me. Really, thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you. Thank you. It was a pleasure being with you. Thank you. All the best.
Thank you so very much. I'd like to thank all of you who have been here and who are part of this as well. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting. Thank you for thank you for spreading the word as far as Bharata First is concerned. I'd like to wrap this this session right now. Thank you. Continue to spread the word. Continue to spread the love. This is not my platform. This is Bharata's platform. So kindly spread the word. That's it from me. Namaskar. See you again next time.
I almost expected you to say thank you for wrapping up this edition of The Big Picture.
Strangely, after doing that for 8 whole years,
Uh,
I've never made that mistake even once
Oh,
for the
really?
last 1 month.
Okay.
So Bharata is doing it for me. It's not me. It's Bharatma who's doing it for me.
Right.
So yeah, so it's strange. It's real. Thank you for bringing that up as well, Sai. Pleasure as always. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
See you next time.
Bye.